Subhashree, one of the selected Changemakers of the F.A.I.R project 2022. I hope that all of you are doing great and staying safe. Before we get started on the topic of discussion for today, I would first like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the UNESCO New Delhi Cluster Office and the 8 Goals 1 Foundation for providing me with this platform and opportunity today to share my viewpoint. The last 40-45 days that I've spent being part of the F.A.I.R project have given me the opportunity to have conversations with so many experienced individuals from different sectors that it has not only broadened and deepened my knowledge, but at the same time, this entire journey using the F.A.I.R methodology has helped me to think critically for understanding different perspectives and diverse viewpoints on socially pressing contemporary issues. Now back to the subject at hand. My showcase today will address the question of whether ending poverty through education is a reality or an illusion. Now before delving into the deeper details of the topic, let's go a little back and understand the relationship status between education and poverty and why it became such a topic of the global discussion. Education is often referred to as a leveler and a great equalizer of the society that can provide access to resources, employment, and skills that enable a person to not just survive but thrive. This is why access to quality education is a globally recognized solution to end poverty and is considered to be the antidote to poverty. The Millennium Development Goals, adopted in the year 2000, created a push for universal access to education, and the World Bank's human capital theory also suggested that improving basic reading and numeracy abilities is one way to combat poverty, a simple solution that seemed obvious, statistically proven, and measurable, as it was believed that educated individuals with rudimentary reading and numeracy abilities might find employment and hence boost the economy. So learning was equated with earning. Since then, and due to the immense global attention, several nations started taking action on increasing school enrollment and universalizing primary education. This success of universalizing primary schooling can be attributed to both government efforts to provide schooling and to the parents who enrolled their children. These collective efforts were based on one common understanding of what schooling entailed. But despite making significant progress in increasing enrollments, many were not at the level expected of them in their grade. The Right to Education Act RTE 2009 in India ensured free and compulsory education for children up to the age of 14, which led to more children finishing primary schooling even while their fundamental reading and math skills were subpar. As per the evidence in 2016, 1/4 of all 8th graders were unable to read texts that were appropriate for grade 2 and do basic arithmetic computations. According to UNESCO Institute of Statistics, about 617 million children and adolescents worldwide do not meet minimal competence standards in literacy and numeracy skills, thus demonstrating how most children lag behind in learning basics of either reading or arithmetic. Only 30% of the youngsters in more than half of the world's countries have the basics of reading. When looking at the factors that impede the attainment of foundational learning skills, poverty is the most striking, particularly with regard to reading skills. The likelihood that a child in the lowest wealth quintile has foundational reading skills in 16 percentage points lower than a child from a highest wealth quintile. Isn't it thus ironic that despite our earlier belief that education might end poverty, we now discover that poverty itself is a barrier to education? The real questions then emerge that I could think of are if the children are actually learning in the schools. Do all the children gain the required employable skills? Because if that would have occurred, then why are every 1 out of 5 college graduates unemployed according to UNICEF? So it can be inferred that learning is not directly proportional to earning. Or are we just giving the children mere access to education without focusing on the quality of education? In this connection, I would like to share the perspective of Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee on the role of education in solving the problem of poverty among the nations. He stated that poverty cannot be alleviated just by educating people, as education becomes meaningless if labor markets do not provide jobs. Now, since we are talking about poverty, so let's see how is it defined. Poverty could be defined in a variety of ways, in absolute terms or in relative terms, in monetary terms or non-monetary terms, according to national poverty line or international line, but most often for the purpose of international compatibility for the global study of poverty. The standard absolute international poverty line of $1.90 per person per day at purchasing power parity is used as a means to consider that how a person is poor or not poor, which simply means that individuals are considered to be poor if they live in a household with a daily per capita consumption or income of less than $1.90. ILO, or International Labour Organization, on analyzing data on working poverty rates separately for youth aged between 15 to 24 years and adults aged 25 and above, shows that in all the regions of the world, young workers find themselves in extreme poverty as compared to the adult workers. This points out the severe issues of quality of employment for youth and particularly the quality of the earnings. I'd want to now draw your attention to the major issues that require our immediate consideration. The crux of the issue remains education itself can become a perpetuation of poverty if it is not comprehensively managed and reformed. The emphasis thus should be more on skill acquisition than degree completion, and it should be more individualized and needs-based rather than being a one-size-fits-all approach. Children are frequently excluded from the real learning process since the current educational system places a greater emphasis on achieving higher grades and marks, and students from low-income homes tend to experience this the most. Hence, the very first step that I feel is necessary in order to effectively eradicate poverty via education is that the developing nations may start to accept the fact that education cannot in and of itself do so. Children can acquire the skills they need via education to find employment and contribute to the society in order to gain more jobs. Thus, to begin to comprehend the difficulties of trying to improve schools in the first place is the crucial step to grasp the boundaries of what they can and cannot achieve. Putting children on a route to educational development and discovery can be assisted through improvements in teacher training, more investment in learning resources, and emphasis on the foundational skills are some of the ways to improve. The numerous risks to children's education therefore needs a joint effort from both the government and also the key stakeholders. Another piece of news or information I have to share with all of you. 1 in 10 Indians, according to the 2011 census of India, are now between the ages of 14 and 18. This equates to about a total of 10 crores or more than 100 million youth. So, if we do not ensure that these young people have access to the knowledge, skills, and opportunities they need to help themselves, their families, and the communities, India's much awaited demographic dividend or economic growth potential will not take place. Therefore, I feel that quality education in the right direction can be a step in eradicating poverty, but is just one piece of a puzzle to the solution. Hence, I would like to leave you all to ponder on these thoughts which I had in my mind to decide for yourself if eradicating poverty through education is a reality or an illusion. Thank you.